Okay, at this time, we'll start this meeting at 9:17. Call this meeting to order. And for roll call, I see everyone is present. So we will move to the approval of the current agenda. Do I have a motion? A first, do I have a second?
I shall second the motion.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Any discussion on any of this? Is there any questions? Then we're going to move to the approval of the previous minutes, meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
I also move to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Anything anyone has on the minutes?
I just have a question.
Yes, Linda.
Where it says Kewaunee County Tavern League is hosting a golf outing on August 31st at Scott's. Is that supposed to be Royal Scott or just Scott's?
Yes, it's the golf course.
Okay, Royal is not in there, so you might want to add that.
Anything else? All right, then we will move to the department operations. So the monthly report.
Forgive me, I'm noting as I'm doing this.
That's right. Your secretary today.
That's right.
I'm all the above.
I was supposed to drag this out.
Okay, so for the month of July, our office has been busy. With COVID and everything, I will tell you that our phone calls have been astronomical. We are getting a lot of phone calls coming in and not as many walk-ins, but we're staying steadily busy. We sent out because we had this meeting early, we actually sent it out, and the original one that you all have currently, okay, what I'm looking at right now is the one for scheduled appointments, walk-ins, and calls. On your all sheet, you have it at 22 and 204, and actually, because we had sent it out early to you guys, the actual numbers ended up being, we had 29 walk-ins, 263 phone calls. We had 6 miscellaneous, which is visits and responding to veteran needs. I filed 4 appeals and 3 healthcare applications. We're working with a couple of veteran organizations currently. As far as we have some new vets that have come into town. 2 of them were homeless. We put them up in, one of them we put up in a hotel over the weekend in order to work with HUD Dash and to work with VORP. Jeff was nice enough to put him in his hotel for a while. So we took care of that veteran. And we're still working with the process to get him. The other one was from Atlanta, Georgia. He's living with his brother right now, which we got him pension immediately, which is the fastest pension I've actually processed. Took literally less than 7 days to get it processed. He's also a Vietnam veteran, which we filed for compensation under the Parkinson-like symptoms. So as you can see, our numbers have definitely been on the rise. I don't know if that's going to continue based on the new stipulations in the office. We still are doing visits. I have been having luck to get into the nursing home as far as if there's something important for our widows to get the letters out and everything. All right, we'll skip back over. I'll go to the dollar amounts. So if you look at the dollar amounts, the one-time total was $34,000 this month. With the increase in benefits is $12,537. That is the ones that we're projecting going forward per month, giving our total benefit currently at $46,000 that we did for July. I'm not busy. I'm still here. Okay, we'll go into the awards received. The one-time June total, as you can see previously, we are almost double to what we were last year. We had DIC. We put in a claim for a widow whose husband has passed away. So we were awarded DIC for that. We also filed for, there was a Blue Water veteran who passed away. We filed for service-connected death, which we actually had to go back and pull his ship logs to actually prove that he was service connected, then get the death certificate to show that it was one of the ailments that was already on the books. So it was automatically adjudicated, and we awarded the family that money, or the VA I should say, did that. The CRDP, that's concurrent pay for retirees because he was already service connected and he was retired. He had an increase in benefits, which totaled out for his DFAS repayment of over $12,000. And we're still working on pensions. They're slow. There's nothing I can do about that right now. I would say that in the last 2 weeks, VA has becoming to a crawl because QTC, LHI, VES, which are all organizations that do our comp and pen exams, now they are not doing comp and pen exams. They've stopped completely.
Why is that?
Appointments for doctors and stuff, they can't get them in to see them based on the new ordinance and stuff. So we have had them going as far out as Michigan and as low as Chicago to go to some of our comp and pen exams, and they're not doing that now. They're trying to keep them as local as possible. But the problem is we only have so many doctors locally, and they're all tied up. So at this point, we're almost at a crawl when it comes to our comp and pen exams. VES put out a notification to us 2 weeks ago that they were not doing any comp and pen exams. They VA reacted and shifted them over to LHI. LHI has not gotten back to our veterans in order to schedule those, so we're still looking at the ones that I filed for June and July aren't going to be seen until August and September at this current point right now. So we're doing our side, filing the compensations, filing the pensions, but right now we're at the mercy of the doctor's availabilities.
So does that mean that there could be potential for backdating eligibility?
So all of our claims, when we file, the first thing that I always do when we bring them in the office, after I do a quick review and sit down and talk to the veteran, if I think there's anything that's potentially that we could file for a claim, I always do an intent to file. That automatically backdates the claim. So if we did if you came in today, I did an intent to file. If we did not get you in to see a doctor and get all the evidence and everything we need, and we say we submit that in December, it automatically backdates it to today's date.
Good.
So it still reserves the space. They're not missing anything. It's just that we have to wait that time. And a lot of times that becomes very aggravating because they're like, where's the claim? Where's the claim? Well, there's nothing that we can do it on our end. We do contact Gallagher's office on the ones that we think that need to be pushed through in a faster pace if they're in a dire need.
And he's able to assist, he's been able to assist on that?
Carrie at his office, Carrie Nemechek, she's really good at assisting us in getting a expedited response.
Good.
So
Excellent.
I use that sparingly just because I don't want to overtask the office, and I'm sure they have a lot of CVSOs that use, have her helping with it. She does a lot of stuff for us. Gallagher's office has been very involved with our veterans in this region, which is great.
Good. Thank you.
Other than that, is there any questions on the monthly report?
Any questions? Then we will, if there's anything else, we're going to move to the travel.
I would like just to put it out, if there's a possibility, if we have changes that need to be made in order to expedite the process, and not that it takes a long time, if you could just email it to me or Tara so we can just get that done right away, and I can then contact you by phone and just say these are the proposals to make the changes.
Okay.
That way we're not really tying up a lot. I mean, if it's simple things, grammatical, if it's punctuation, stuff like that, we can make those changes on the fly. That makes it easier to make sure that's all straight away before we actually come to the meeting. If it's something big we need to discuss, like, the wording on there was totally incorrect and we need to change it for legislation and stuff like that, I think that's okay. But if we can just do that just to save time, I'd appreciate it.
Right.
Is there any objections to that?
None.
That's fine. I went to travel, but I'll back up.
Okay.
Right now, Tara's at home doing
Correct.
this the whole week, correct, in training.
Yes,
Okay, and that started today.
sure did. Started
Okay.
this morning at 7:30.
Okay, all right, so you're on your own.
I am.
Okay, good luck.
I have everything forwarded to all my phones, so that way if I have to leave the office, it's forwarded to my cell phone, so I will not miss a phone call.
Well, it happened at a good, it's kind of lockdown right now, so it happened at a good time, I guess.
It does.
So any travel things going on?
Potentially, the only thing we have coming up is fall. Obviously, that's going to be depending on what's going on in the state of the U.S. So I don't know what's going to happen with the state if we're actually going to do it or not. It's not a requirement this year to have continuing education for our CVSOs. That has already been put out. That has been blessed off. But that still leaves the organization in a flux on, do we just leave the current nominated executive party in place, or if we, because normally in fall is when we do that. So there's a lot of stuff that we're still working out right now, but there's no travel on the agenda for now. On the foreseeable future, I should say.
So you could probably do a virtual election or something, I'm sure, if you wanted to keep that continuing.
So what, like nationals with Tara doing this is kind of our testing for nationals.
run?
Yeah. They had, this is the second course. They did one last week and they did one this week. There's been a lot of talks that we will not be able to do the actual full-blown meeting of all the CVSOs just because of, one, funding in other counties. They're saying, well, can we actually afford that? I've already put that and shifted the numbers in our budget to make sure that I'm under budget right now because we haven't had a lot of other expenses in other areas. So even if I have to go, it's not going to hinder us. It actually we've saved money based on what we were projecting to spend this year.
I mean, we're seeing a lot of companies are going virtual. They realize they can do it. These big conventions in Vegas, or whatever groups are going, wherever they're going, they've learned that, hey, we don't need to spend that kind of money. And I don't think that's always the best model. I mean, in-person things can oftentimes get better results, for example. But yeah, I guess we'll have to monitor the situation and see what.
I think that, to me, like the 2 times a year, and this is just my opinion on it, is the fact that the fall conference to me is the biggest part because that's when you have a lot of, one, the elections, 2, we have a lot of the organizations that are coming in trying to give us information on what they can do to help the veterans, and that's always good. And then the camaraderie you actually build with
And
that team
networking is
building.
invaluable. You can't get that off of a
No.
laptop.
And you sit there, you listen to them do the presentation, but actually be able to talk to them and discuss cases. And we also get the visitors that come from the VA side of the house, which is invaluable because then those are the hard cases that we're stuck on. And we can get that direct one-on-one with one of the coaches or the seniors in order to find out their guidance on how to proceed through those. So, I mean, I do think the once a year gathering is very important because you build that connection and those reach out resources. But I do agree that virtual reality is definitely going to be the way of the future. I did propose to Scott to try to set up because we're doing a lot of telehealth, and with our community being an aging veteran community, I wanted to set up a space where we could actually do the telehealth because a lot of our elderly do not have that capability. But if we actually put it here in one of the vacated offices and then allow that to be established so they can actually come in and have their appointments with the veteran doctor. I've already made that proposal. I still have to do some more research as far as dollar amounts and how that's going to run. But I've asked that question because
Does it
we
really
have.
look feasible? I mean, does it look like?
I know it's doable. I mean, I do all mine from home right now. I mean, my appointments, all but one, are all virtual. Same thing goes with our BVA decisions. Now they've changed a lot of the veteran when you go to look and sit in front of a judge, instead of doing that and actually having it over in traveling, like the organization would travel to DC and sit there and fight it. They're doing that all digitally. So then that gives us our veteran a face on a computer screen. Our community, a lot of our veterans don't have that access because they are older and not more technologically savvy. So that would be one thing I would like to do in the future for our county, is to get something, and that's just not for just the veterans. I mean, other services can benefit from that option also because they do that virtual health on a lot of different levels.
Sure.
Can I ask this question? At the county board meeting, what are we, August? So July, we talked about that money. No, July, June, yes. We talked about money that was coming to our county for COVID. So can we use some of that money for that? Because really,
I mean, that's a Scott question.
yeah, but that would be something, because I believe that they were talking about doing certain things for our meetings and stuff like that, but why can't we use that money, because it was a good amount, and put it towards that? Because even now you're saying that there's people that can't see the doctor, but if we had that, they could actually see the doctor and get some of these things rolling, correct?
Yes.
So
I
I
can
would
make
definitely,
I can make a comment on that. I believe tonight there's going to be an update on the road to recovery money and some of the things that we're looking at doing. And part of updating all of the rooms in all of the different facilities that we have, that equipment would be available for those type of Zoom type or
Yep.
or meetings with the veterans.
okay. All right, thank you.
So I mean, that's something I would ask that you all would, as my committee, push forward and make sure that, I just think it's a huge benefit. I mean, I look at some of the veterans that come in there right now and they don't have computers at home. They still have flip phones. They just don't feel comfortable with it, but they feel comfortable in my office. I mean, if we have an office space that's an office space, you just close the door and they can have their medical discussion in there. It's a privacy, so that wouldn't be a big issue. And we wouldn't have to travel down to Milwaukee because I can get VA to link up with Ross as IT in order to do the software that needs to be installed in order to allow for BVA to actually have the Board of Appeals discussions, which would be a simple process for us to facilitate, I would think.
So it sounds like, Ross, that we're gonna have that capability, right? But we're gonna have it in all of them, so we would have it in the veterans office?
Well, just because you're saying that these people can't get into a doctor because they're overwhelmed, so the pensions are sitting, nothing's getting done. So
Correct.
I feel that if we do have this fund coming, why not put some of it over here or however we can do it? So, but I'll be at the executive with Pastor, so. Okay,
Great.
great.
Yes, you would have our support from the committee to answer your question.
Thank you.
All right, we really got sidetracked on
We
that.
did. I'm sorry about that.
Because I'm like,
That was
we were on travel. Is there anything else or travel? We're done. Any other matters?
I have the budget completed. Paul sent those out last week on Friday. I don't like having it on my plate, so I finished my budget already. So that'll be on the agenda for next month to go over the budget with you guys for next year. There's not anything changing except for the mandatory wages increases. Everything else is pretty much staying the same. I've decreased a couple of things. There will be one change, which I would get with Kim offline first before we present it to the committee.
Okay.
On the budget. Other than that, that's all I have.
All right, any other matters? Then we will talk about the next meeting, which we had down for September 14th. You have that down? Tara put that down?
Yes.
So now I'm moving it to October and health, and we decided health on the 12th. Would that work after health for use to come in on the 12th of October?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So October 12th,
Yes.
it will be after health.
Okay.
All right. At this time, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I so move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting is adjourned.